please rise for the posting of the colors.
Attention. Right. Face. Half step. March. Mark time. March. Straight. Halt. Right. Face. Step. Off. Colors. House. Recount. Present arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Wait. Face. Half step. March. Mark time. Mark. Group. Halt.
Please remain standing.
Fall out.
All right, now please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. Please continue to stand.
Please bow your head with me. Our God in heaven, it has been the commitment of our great nation and of the state of Washington to acknowledge your protection, guidance, and provision in all that we do. And so we do the same today. On this Veterans Day, we give thanks unto our Creator, who called into the service of our nation soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, Coast Guardmen, unto a sacred calling of service and sacrifice to secure the rights endowed by our Creator, those certain unalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We entrust into your loving care those brave souls already in your presence, who faithfully discharge their sacred calling, who set before us the example to follow. We honor those here today who continue faithfulness to this calling, both in and out of uniform. Those serving to ensure a free and secure nation, indivisible, under God, providing liberty and justice for all. The The prophet Daniel wrote, "The people who know their God will display strength and take action." God, may you set apart this day unto a sacred calling of valor, courage, and sacrifice those who will be entrusted to defend and protect our liberty, life, and happiness in the tradition of those who have gone and done so before us, for God and His glory. Amen.
And now you can sing. And Army Chaplain, Major Jeff Cole, thank you so much for your service and for providing that beautiful prayer for us. Hello everybody, my name is Corey Gibson, and I'm so honored to be here today, mostly because of all the people that are sitting up here, and many of you as well. While running for Congress, I created this little organization that turned into a not so little organization called the America First PAC. The idea behind that was to get an alliance of people together that would first and foremost start by identifying themselves by what unites us and not what separates us. And I think that one of the best things about this particular day is that we can focus on something that every single American, left, right, center, can all get behind and realize we are all united under the idea that the men and women that have served this country, the men and women that have answered the call, that have stood up and said we are going to fight to protect and preserve our Constitution, our traditions, those people are universally understood that they should be celebrated, and today that's what we are going to do. We are going to celebrate those that have answered the call. So it's an honor for me to be here. I'm here to set up the conversation and let the really interesting people chat and talk to you. But I think that we should take a moment today, remember and think about where we are right now in U.S. history. What does our country look like right now? And how do we feel today at this moment? And I think that we need to realize that we can become united again. We can again become a country that can believe in the destination and agree to disagree on how to get to that destination. And the ability for us to make those decisions, to have that belief and have that faith, is because people have stood up, they've answered the call, and they've been willing to die to protect our ability to have individual liberty and freedom. So, today is a celebration, so we can be happy. I know it seems kind of quiet in here, it seems sort of like solemn, but the truth is this is an amazing day, and it's one of the best days in our country that we have every single year. Yes. Amen, right? Amen. Yeah, I knew I would get one from Stephanie. So today we celebrate unity and we celebrate our amazing veterans. And the first person that is going to come up and speak, I think really represents something very exciting, because one of the things that a lot of people are looking for right now is sort of a sense of hope for the future. Things sometimes seem a little dark. Seems like there's just so much angst and so much pressure. But there are young people all over this country that are standing up, they're getting involved, they want to participate, and they have a deep, profound love and respect for our veterans, as we all should. So I'm going to read some of these facts here real quick. So our next speaker, by the way, is a 14-year-old high school freshman, all right? I thought I was pretty cool because I was on national TV quite a bit at the end of my election. She's got me beat by like 1,000 times. She's like a pro. I told her, I was like, I'm probably going to be asking you for a job in about like 6 months. But I want to tell you a little bit about, briefly, Kellyanna Brooking. Kellyanna is a Turning Point USA ambassador. She is... She's made several stands in her life. One of them, at this young age, got her kicked out of school for standing up against government overreach. And she's regularly in national media, and as a 14-year-old, I think that is pretty spectacular. So we're all going to see a lot of her soon. So everybody, please give a warm welcome for Kellyanna Brooking.
Can everybody hear me? Yes. America and our freedoms are under attack. And much like those who have fought for our country in the past, we all need to answer the call and join the fight. We all need to remember our history and respect those who have and still protect our rights. Now is not the time to keep our heads in the sand and just assume someone else will fix our issues for us. I promise to always honor and respect our heroes. I will continue to stand up for what's right and to never back down. A lot of conservative teens are always saying how hard it is to be a part of this generation. It seems like a talking point, but now more than ever, our generation needs to be better. When I look around my classroom, not everyone is standing up for the pledge to our flag. When people think it's okay to mock those who put their lives at risk every single day just to keep our country safe, I know that this is the result of woke indoctrination, free handouts, and lack of gratitude. Young people take this for granted in the name of equality. It truly is such a privilege and an honor to be an American. Honor, protect, serve. Courage is contagious, patriots, so be courageous. God bless America, and God bless you all.
I don't know what I was doing at 14, but it wasn't this. I wish I was, I think, though. It's unfortunate. We had someone who was going to come speak, and traffic got in the way, as I'm sure many of you may have realized is a bit of an issue out there. Having said that, a good friend, there he is. Let's make sure he's up here. A good friend, a retired police officer and veteran, and let me make sure I get this right, combat veteran from Gulf War, retired from law enforcement, and currently the vice chair of the Republican Party of Yakima County. Please give a warm welcome to Tom Ditmer.
Well, first off, I want to thank everybody for being here for the veterans, but let's not forget the veterans' families also, because they go through as much, if not more, than the veteran does. At least we know what's happening when we're in combat, but the family doesn't. So, thank you all again. And I want to thank Simi for inviting me to this, because I didn't really know about it until he told me about it. And the reason I'm here is because I got to know him the last year in Yakima, and I can tell you there's not a more staunch supporter of the United States Constitution, the U.S. military and veterans' families, but also law enforcement. There's a lot of law enforcement out there that are veterans, and they got out and became law enforcement. They're fighting a battle of their own out there as we speak. So keep them in your prayers also. Yeah, but happy Veterans Day and Semper Fi.
Originally, we had some grand plans. It was going to be a big musical act and all that sort of stuff, but it turns out this isn't a really good place for setting up a stage and lighting. So, we are actually going to play some music, so hit it, DJ. The gentleman that performed that song's name is Chris Lloyd, and we will actually be having a concert with him hopefully in spring, so keep you posted on that. You know, I think that it's important for us all every day when we wake up, to be grateful, right? Especially be grateful for the fact that you're waking up in the United States of America. No matter what we're stressed about, what we're worried about, what we're mad about that's happening in politics, we all still have the ability to agree we are still in the greatest country in the United States. And of course, we would not be here without our amazing veterans. So it all comes back. So as we celebrate the rest of today, I just want to remind everybody of one simple thing, and that's that we all have the ability to answer the call. I think every single one of us. It doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter where you're from. Every single one of us has a role to play in protecting and preserving and respecting our nation. Whether it's something small or whether it's something big, America is amazing because of who we are as a people collectively. And I remind everybody, let's always start there first. Before any other label, in fact, Americans first, and that's what makes us so great. So, now I have the pleasure of riding over with the gentleman I'm about to introduce. And I have a list here of things to read describing his service. But I learned while I was riding with him, there's a whole bunch more. Literally the most fascinating guy, I think, in the world. So I'm just going to start. I hate reading, I just don't want to get it wrong, okay? He's a retired Air Force colonel, flew combat in Desert Storm, commanded 3 bases, retired at the level of a 2-star general, and also founded Washington Veterans Vote to inspire veterans to get out and vote. I read you about half of the incredible stuff. It is truly a huge honor, to carpool with him, but also to share and announce our next speaker, Jerry Hust.
After being retired for 5 whole years now, it's an amazing honor to be back with such patriots and to be with people, as Corey was saying, that are willing to serve. I talked to moms over here who are now on the school board. I look at the Great Honor Guard. I look at all the citizens here that no longer are maybe out holding arms or defending the country with weapons or whatever, or going to combat, but you're out here, like Corey mentioned, serving our country in other ways. And that's really what it's all about, especially as veterans, as we decide to serve again. And I was inspired about 9 months ago from a friend of mine who sent me a commercial he was in, from an organization that was just stood up in Virginia, very responsible for getting Glenn Youngkin appointed governor there. I was so inspired by the commercial that I decided I wanted to do something like that here in Washington State. And it's really about encouraging veterans to vote. It's also about endorsing candidates that believe in our veterans and their families, as was mentioned, who believe in the Constitution and a strong national security. Believe it or not, veterans in Washington make up about 11% of our voting population. Look at the margins that we currently have. I think there's a common theme that runs through our veins as veterans and those who support veterans, and that's patriotism and belief in our country, the vision our fathers and founding fathers had. So it's been a struggle. 9 months to build up 3 organizations. We're just getting going. I think we got a long call for 2022 to reach out to 2024. I'm actually kind of surprised that Corey allowed me to continue speaking after we did speak for about 2.5 hours in the car. So I know one of the speakers fell out, so I don't think he had an option. And I'm looking at the clock, and so he needs to fill up sometimes. I was also talking today to the lady who sort of oversees this building today. She said the acoustics were a lot better singing than it was speaking. So, given that, I am not going to sing to you because today is a day of honor and not dishonor the singers we already had, the songs that were played. So you'll just have to bear with me through the talking and the reading. And I did notice that there's a little bit of a gender gap here. So I'm the really old guy at 68, so I've got to have notes to read. I don't trust my cell phone. Corey's like that middle of the road guy. He just has it all packed. He remembers everything. And then Carrie Ann over here, she's like the new age. She's got her cell phone out. She's reading and looking at her notes in the cell phone. I would die if I had to do that. Probably I couldn't read it either. So anyway, we veterans all have a story to tell. And according to my wife and kids, mine keep getting better and longer as time goes by. So I'll try to stick to the short version today, and I have 50 more minutes because we have to be out of here at 4 o'clock. However, I do think this is a story to tell. It won't be that. It's perhaps a story that all veterans can relate to. It's about hard work, leadership, loyalty to our comrades, sacrifice of self and family, all amid some really good times along the way, and dedication to our country. Ultimately, the point of my comments today is about honoring veterans as the men and women who ensure the freedom of all Americans, past and present, but maybe more importantly for us now in the future. And really a chance to honor people who have served in every capacity, but also those who didn't give it all, like Lance Corporal Jason Durham, who I don't know if you've heard, is the source of a new documentary called The Gift, all about his sacrifice of his life, winning, earning, and receiving the Medal of Honor for his action in Iraq. I highly recommend everyone to take a look at that documentary. It's called The Gift. But anyway, my dad is one of my heroes. He retired from the Air Force in 1981 as a Chief Master Sergeant. The last 14 years he spent in Port Air Force Base as a flight engineer on C-141 transport aircraft. That means he was gone 3 weeks of every month for the entire time of my 7th grade through graduation. It also means my mom, speaking about families again, pretty much raised us 3 kids while holding down a full-time job. And as you can imagine, her single best and most effective discipline tool was to wag her finger at us and say, "Wait till your dad gets home." So my dad is gone now. He gave all for his country. He passed away from cancer that was linked to Agent Orange during his time in Vietnam. But because my dad was, I should say, a man, as all most of our leaders, I wrote this eulogy for him. And in it, I said, what would Ron say? And I wonder what he'd say if he could see me here in this rotunda paying a tribute to the guardians of our freedom. After all, it was my dad who instilled in me a sense of patriotism, integrity, and service. And I think that's one advantage at least all of us military brats have. He also supported me in my career choices and gave me a love of aviation. In 10th grade, I decided to ditch high school and I attended Cloak Park Vocational School to become an airframe carpenter mechanic. During that time, my dad taught me how to fly. I soloed on my 16th birthday and got my license on my 17th birthday. My goal was to buy a local airport, fix airplanes, and do flight instruction. And that all changed one day. My dad came home and asked me if I want to fly fighters. And my answer was, yeah, I'd love to do that, but I have no path to do that. After all, I had skipped high school. But he insisted that I apply for the Air Force Academy, and well, to say the least, there was no way I was going to get into the academy, at least not as an airframe planning with a 9th grade education. And actually, my first application was rejected outright. However, I focused on Mission Impossible, and in 1973, got an appointment to the United States Air Force Academy. After 27 years on active duty and 13 years as a senior executive with the Air Force Navy Army, my most memorable moments are officiating and leading spring graduation ceremonies. 2 things in particular stand out about those ceremonies and still give me chills today. First, the respect I've had of those willing to continue their service to the country. Second, the first statement in our oath of office, the words, "I do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic." Those words were not a promise to defend a document or a person, but a set of ideas. A vision of our founders that would create the most free, equitable, and powerful nation, a beacon of hope for all nations. The founders also had the wisdom to create a process within the Constitution that allowed for change. The first 10 amendments were Bill of Rights. The 13th Amendment abolished slavery. Others gave every citizen the right to vote. Veterans, this was your real gift to our country on active duty, the freedom to vote. And I know that many of you are probably glad this election season is almost over. And based on the numbers, as I mentioned, we veterans especially continue to serve. We literally, as I mentioned, have the numbers in this state to change election results. And that is our goal, again, as Washington Veterans Vote, is to help veterans understand the issues, do their research, figure out what's the right side to be on when we go back to the election boxes. So collectively, the idea is that we can determine election outcomes. Americans cannot thank veterans enough, although I will say a good cup of coffee, not served on a silver cup, would go a long way. I don't know how many veterans, how many free cups of coffee we had when we deployed and all that. It was always given in a styrofoam cup. So if I never see a styrofoam cup again in my life, I'm happy. So veterans, you risked everything so every one of us can live free and pursue our dreams like I did. It was an honor for me to express our country's appreciation for your service, first of all, in active duty, and now as a citizen. And I'd be remiss to not say again, thank you, Corey, Honor Guard, Seekers, everyone that put this together. And as my last word, I'd like to say, go Air Force. Now, I'm glad Semi is laughing at that. I looked over specifically because I have the honor to introduce him today. And he's not in, or was never in the Air Force, but I'm sure he helped a lot of Air Force people out. So I had to give a shout out to the Air Force. Semi, a former Marine, an Army Green Beret, wearing the Bronze Star with Valor and a Purple Heart. Semi is a behavioral scientist and executive director of Team Concept Training and Consulting. He has served as the associate director for WSU, the federal director for the Department of Energy, and advisor to the ambassador of Bangladesh. Been there? Thank you for your service. He is currently serving in what might be, in my opinion, his most important position yet. You ladies know it. As I was mentioning, I was on the school board for 4 years in San Antonio. So I think you are having your hardest commitment to service right now as a member of the Richmond School District, not only a member, but the director of. He's made some of his most significant impacts, I would argue, holding that position, ensuring massive choice, which to me equates to freedom, facilitating the establishment of the first ever parent advisory committee and student representative position to the school board, as well as the first ever strategic plan for improving performance and accountability. By the way, as I was mentioning over here, so goes our education, so goes the country. Right now, we are average globally in English, and we are below average in math. Not a good thing. And just last week, passing a policy to prevent CRT from being taught to elementary students. So, Semi, thank you for your continued service. I really look forward to your comments.
No, seriously, I've done a lot of speeches all over the world, and I finally came to a place that I said, I want to speak from the heart. I want to share what I know. I want to share what's important to me and what I hope resonates with you. First, let's talk about the Air Force. I've never met a plane that I did not like jumping out of. I'm kidding on that too. I'm afraid of heights. So as a Special Forces Green Beret and as someone who competed with the Special Operations Parachute Team, why would you jump out of airplanes and compete if you're afraid of heights? Because facing my fear is something that I do. It is something that I encourage others, because in life we find ourselves in a time or a moment where we are in fear. And fear can be paralyzing, but if you put your mind to it, you can overcome fear. There's nothing that you cannot do when you put your mind to it. So I jump out of airplanes. And perhaps this summer I may do a free fall for you all if you ever come to one of our future events. But we'll move on. Service to America, service to our country. You know what? Here's the deal. I wake up every single morning, and my beautiful baby, my daughter's 15, she's here today, and my lovely bride, my wife Ann, my girls are sleeping. Dad gets up and he goes to get his cup of coffee every morning. And as I'm walking down the hall to the kitchen, to the great room, I begin to find myself thanking God every single day at that time, like clockwork. And it's not intentional, it's not rehearsed. I just do it, I feel it. I'm walking down the hall, I'm saying, thank you, Lord, for my beautiful house. We built our dream house last year. And when you start your life out in the inner city ghetto of East Oakland, California, born to a single woman, pre-civil rights, in poverty, in the projects, you have an appreciation for something like building your dream home. Something that I would have never ever thought I would ever have. That my mother never could have. But she didn't give up. I'm not even sure that woman had any fear, because all she did was to sacrifice everything for the sake of her children. But I digress. I'm talking about me. I'm kidding. And so I start to reflect. Thank you, Lord, for my beautiful home. Thank you for my beautiful wife, my beautiful children. I have 3 daughters. Yes, I mean girls, and I'm proud of it. Women rule the world. And gentlemen, if you haven't heard, well, you know. If you're married, you know. We know what our chain of command is. We know who our commander-in-chief is, and we're happy with it. Right? Happy wife, happy life. That's what they say. So moving on. I thank God. And as I start to reflect even more, I said, how am I here? And then you cannot help but think about this great nation. If you heard my story, and I'll probably tell it again a few dozen more times today. When you start out like that and you end up here like this, you cannot help but to reflect and to say this word, meritocracy. Meritocracy. What you reap, you can sow. And regardless of the color of your skin, regardless of your religious beliefs, regardless of your political ideology, what you choose to achieve and what you choose to believe, you in right can achieve. That is America. And by the way, folks, I'm not going to lie. Let me just put a claim. If you were to look at my heart, and you kind of open it up, well, it's kind of gross, but you open it up a little bit, you're going to find Jesus in there. And then you're going to see it's wrapped with red, white, and blue. It's wrapped with the flag. I love my country. I love my Lord, and I make no apologies for it. These are the traditions of this country, of this great nation. And so as we reflect, take a moment, think about what's most precious to you. Is it your beautiful grandchildren, your children, your spouse? What is more important to you? What resonates in your heart? And when you start to think about that, think about how you got there. Think about your journey, and then stop and reflect and think about the country in which you are accomplishing everything that you accomplish. Freedom is not free. And if you think about it plainly, there is no America without the American veteran. Plain and simple.
That's right.
Now, I like to have revivals sometimes. I like to get spiritual. I like to get loud. So let me just take a pause. I'm going to ask a couple questions, and I want you to respond in your own brand. If it's a hua, a huya, and a hoorah, we have representation. Air Force, Navy, Army, Marines, Coast Guard. Did I leave anybody? Civil Air Patrol. Where are my veterans at? Okay, one more time. Veterans, be prepared. Where are my veterans at? I asked the Capitol Police if I can do this. Where are my patriots at? You see what's going on? What I've realized over my years, regardless of who you are or how you got there, if you're in this country, you'll find yourself in 2 categories. Whether you served or you have not served, we have a love. We have a love for this nation, most of us, because we appreciate all that this nation has given us. And that is what I consider a patriot. And so I may have started out as a Marine. And why a Marine? Not just because of those beautiful uniforms, but really that was it. Oh, I didn't even go through my whole journey. So let me tell you, K through 12, you know I'm on the school board. You've been told, it's been shared. I was asked to run for Congress. I was asked to run for legislation in the past, and I said, no, I'm busy. I have a practice. I'm a behavioral scientist. I have clients. That was my love. That is my love to this day, although I've just recently retired. Maybe. My friends say never. But as I reflect again, I step back and I think, how did I get here? Because K through 11, kindergarten through 11th grade, I had D's and F's and C's were my A's in my heart and my mind. I struggled. And so in 11th grade, you heard to 11th, I dropped out of high school. I'm a high school dropout. And proud of it. Why? Because once again, no matter what happens, no matter what curveballs life throws at you, there is nothing that you cannot overcome. There is nothing that you cannot surmount if you are dedicated to your cause and you put your heart to it. And so I joined the Marine Corps because of those beautiful uniforms. That was it. And so I got in the Marine Corps and they had to slap me around a little bit because I was a little resistant. I was not a bad kid. I was stubborn. I was privileged. And by the way, since we're talking about privilege, anyone who is born in the United States of America was born into privilege, and never forget it. For some of us who travel to another country, a third world nation, we've seen hardship. You don't work, you die. You can't feed yourself, you die. This happens today in this world today. Stop and reflect on the greatness of America. I have friends here who began their journey from mainland China, fleeing from communist rule, to come to America. And I have a friend here that I'm proud of. He's a medical doctor. Because of this country, and because that man is a patriot who realized the freedoms and liberties that America provides, and what he believed he in fact achieved, and he is now a role model for many others in his community. And we must consider and continue to be role models. Our veterans are leaders of our society. That uniform you wore or wear, your service to your nation, it means something. It means something to these beautiful children who are here. They need to understand what you represent. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But we're talking about me again. The high school dropout, finishing his PhD in industrial and organizational psychology. When I left the Marine Corps after being slapped around, I lost a strap or two, got it back, right? I'm telling you, it was a little rough. But I love my Corps, and my Corps loved me. They just had to slap some sense in me, and they did. And when I finished with my honorable discharge, and I went on with my life, I went to college. Summa cum laude for my bachelor's degree. I'm not bragging. I'm a high school dropout, and I'm proud of it. I went to Villanova University, and I got my graduate degree in human resource development. I'm a high school dropout. I'm proud of it. Remember, service matters, and my service to my nation has given more back to me than I believe I ever gave. If not for the United States Marine Corps knocking some sense in me, I don't know where I would have been. God puts us where we need to be. And at that time, although I felt I was given up, although I felt I was the dumb kid, oh yes, I was called that, many other things back in the day. But I grew strong from it, and I grew forward. Because that's how I was raised. My mother raised me never to be a victim. My mother raised me to have resiliency, to never give up. She would always say, be a Christian gentleman. And to facilitate that, she gave me the Bible and she gave me the dictionary. She said, I want a verse every night and I want a word every night. Oh, she didn't play. She was there on time every night. And she said, the Bible will fill your soul and the dictionary will fill your mind. Do so, and never give anyone to look down upon you. Conduct yourself as a Christian gentleman. That was my mother. That was my upbringing. It was resiliency, never to blame others. We were not victims in my house. My mother wouldn't stand for it. And remember, this is pre-civil rights. These were challenging times for people with good hands. Why would she not blame? Why would she not hate? Why would she not make excuses? Because she knew excuses gets you nowhere. Blame gets you nowhere. Acknowledge reality, find solutions, and make it happen. What you believe you can achieve. So when we think about veterans, and we know that without the American veteran, there would be no America, this goes back to the birth of our nation. To the birth of our nation, when our founders declared our independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator to certain unalienable rights, that among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Dr. Martin Luther King referred to the Declaration of Independence as a promise that must be cashed in, a promise that must be upheld. And our nation has done so and continues to do so. Make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. But when our founders wrote that declaration in ink, our veterans secured our liberties with blood. And that has continued throughout our nation's history. In some of our darkest times, during slavery, when one of the greatest presidents of our time, of our nation's history, I was going to say of our time, I am not that old, although I feel like it sometimes, Abraham Lincoln made a call to action to end slavery in America, and it was accomplished. Why? Because of the blood of patriots, the blood of veterans. And when you talk about service, it has no age limits, as I look at the young people here today. Andrew Jackson, I believe our 7th president, someone Google that, was 13 years old when he went into service. 13 years old when he served in the Continental Army. Here's another lady, Sybil Ludington, in Danbury, Connecticut. She's known as the female Paul Revere. She rode 40 miles on horseback. Don't think about driving, folks, it's on horseback. All night. And saved hundreds of lives because she warned the Continental Army that the British were coming. Audie Murphy, one of our greatest heroes of World War II, one of the most highest decorated patriots of that time. 17 when he enlisted. And again, I was 17, I'm not a hero. But I come from good blood, good history of great patriots. So there's no age limit when it comes to service. When you think of the American veteran, I want you to consider something. We veterans, when we fight to protect our Constitution, when we serve on the front lines, we do not look at one another and ask, what is your religion? Are you a Republican, a Democrat, or an independent? We don't care. And when your life is on the line, you could care less the color of a person's skin, where they're from, or where their heritage is. We don't play that. Veterans are the example for society to follow. And I argue that we need more veterans to step up, we need more veterans to serve, we need more veterans to continue to answer the call.
That's right.
So we have a couple things. Rangers lead the way, Airborne says all the way, and it's in that spirit that I call upon all veterans who may be listening or looking or here and present. Never give up. Never quit your service. Our oath matters. Our service to this great nation has no expiration date. And we must continue to honor our oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. Because this, in fact, is a great nation. A great nation. I once again find myself in the position to answer the call to serve. And I must say that the call is to unite in service my fellow Washingtonians as I choose to run for governor of the state. Thank you, everyone. No, you honor me. This is about veterans. And what I'm saying to you is this. I would not be here if not for my mom, if not for my Lord, but I will tell you this. The United States Marine Corps honed me sharp. The United States Army honed me sharp, steel on steel. I was 43 years old when I became an Army Special Forces Green Beret. 43. There was Army Rangers from the regiment, young studs. I didn't compete with them. I did my best. The intestinal fortitude and personal courage that I learned in the Marine Corps, that I learned earlier on in the Army, I apply to that challenge. I'm not afraid to take a challenge, but I find myself in service to others. Servant leadership. This is what we know as soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardmen. This is what we know, servant leadership. Our soldiers come before. Yes, I received a Bronze Star of Valor. It wasn't for a medal, it was to protect my men. I didn't have to think about it. You know, when they give out medals like that, you always hear soldiers or sailors, you always hear servicemen say, I didn't do anything special. I didn't do anything special. Why? Why do you hear that? Because it is ingrained in them to serve others, to put themselves on the line, selflessly. Think about that. Selflessly in service to others. I will continue to dedicate the rest of my days, as God gives me breath, to serve. Whether it's on the school board or the citizens of Washington State, I will serve. And I call upon my veterans, my brothers, and our patriots to stand up, get engaged with your school boards, get engaged in your local government, get engaged in your state government. We have a place. And veterans, you know, we continue to serve. We must continue to serve. Bring what you know to the forefront. Lead the way. And I'm going to stop there and say, God bless you all. Continue to serve in your own right. And God bless Washington State. Thank you very much.
Said this to me many times, and I think it's how we should leave, and that is, united we stand, together we can,
That's right.
and we can. Whatever that can is, we can. So right now we are celebrating our events, our veterans at an amazing event, but you know what we need to do? We need to go and we need to celebrate our vets every single day by celebrating this amazing country. Show your pride. Do something small every day to show that you know that you are the luckiest people on this planet because you are United States citizens. So we're going to change the format just a little bit, DJ, all right? So if everyone would please stand, we are going to retire the colors, and then as we exit, we will play more beautiful music.
Right, face, half step, mark. Mark time. March. Break. Halt. Right. Face. Present. Arms. Order. Arms. Step. Up. Secure. Cover. Recover. Hasta. March. Mark time. March. Drink. Hope. Fall out. Retired carriers. Okay.
I just want to let you know that the Capitol is closing. It is Veterans Day after all. So, the wonderful people here that have been so helpful, Jennifer, you're amazing. Thank you so much. And just let you know they're probably going to be ushering us out because we've got to close the event at 4. So thank you so much. God bless our troops and God bless America.
Right on.
Huh?